Oha! Ake de unhea takapiwa. Ake Dakota Iapi. Or de chin unhea takapi. Ake we come and sit. We come and sit to learn the language of who we are, the language of our nation, the Dakota nation. The language that was given to us by Creator to use, which we have, I guess we've had that taken away from us, and now we realize that, and we try to take it back, because that is who we are as a Dakota nation. So before we get started again, I'm going to say a prayer for Creator to be with us again today and going into the future. O Dakota pi aya hechel hoi chiche. Awi choni o yakope. Hudu ha hechel hinachma unip. Ayashi ha yoti yonki apka. Ha dina atawa kantanka o hestodia hechel wichad. Unka. Ake Dakota Iapi, Dakota wichocha. Unki kikcho chimpi. Ha dina unshunki daba. Unki apo hechel. O Dakota pi dina tokata kia hechel dina. Uyamptero aya hechel hoewa. Uka kia petu ki hina awachi hechel hoi chichi. O toke hina na tue hoi nichi. Ushima kida, oma kia eyeka. A dina edekchi tu o aya to kantaka hoi chichi. A ke hechel. A petu kide wopide ichichi do. A ki wichune o hechel uyakop. Adina wopida hechel. Eri chunha dina Dakota na ujimpte, Dakota uyampte do aya hechel hoya. Acha dina wopida chichi do apetuki. Amitaku iki dina was. How hechel do? Again, I come here with many thoughts, I guess, many ideas on how to instill the language to those who would want to regain, retain, use the language. And I'm not going to move away from how I've been trying to teach the language, is just to use every day the language, to repeat the words over and over, to repeat the phrases over and over so it's instilled in your mind. I believe you have to consciously decide that this is what I want. And with that, you have to think in Dakota. You have to think in Dakota. formulate what is in your mind as a Dakota, to formulate what you're going to say. First, you have to think about it, think in Dakota, in order to speak Dakota. And this is where I think we should start. When you wake up in the morning, Dakota awachi irotakik. You're going to think like a Dakota waking up, getting up for your day. Itode apetu ki takto kamukta he echanikta. Apetu kinde takto kamukta. Apetu is this day. Takto kamukta. What am I going to do? These things you should be in your mind when you're waking up. That's what I call thinking in Dakota. That's what I do. I'm a Dakota, Damakota da. Don't ibirotake kaha Dakota yukshan ibirotake. When I wake up, I think in Dakota. What am I going to do today? And these kinds of things. And I put my plan forward for the day. Ibidukcha, Dakota ibidukcha, apetukinde takto kamukta. I formulate a plan. Okay, I gotta do this. Dechamukta. I'm going to do this. Hachanakinde this morning. Dechamukta. Deched echamukta. I'm going to do it like this. Vyota sampa in the afternoon. Vyotaha is noon. Vyotaha sampaking takto kamukta. What am I going to do after past noon? Vyotaha sampaking de takto kamukta. Echami, I think about that in Dakota. Then I formulate my plan for the afternoon. Chtayetu in the evening. Chtayetu kiha ishto. Ishto. What about in the evening? Then I try to think about what I need to do or what I've been planning to do for the evening. I think about these things in Dakota. So that's myself sitting by myself thinking like this. It's in my mind, in Dakota, what I'm going to do. But if I happen to speak to somebody in the morning when I've had these thoughts, then I might tell that person what was on my mind, what my plan is for the morning. I might be on the phone, or I might run into an individual, and we'll be talking, we'll be conversing in Dakota. That's when your mind, what is in my mind to do, I will voice it at that time. I'll be telling that person. Mazaska tipi hecha bedikta. Mazaska is money. Tipi is the building, the house of money, which is the bank. Okay. Achana kinde otuanta bedikta. Mazaska tipi hecha bedikta. Mazaska tipi hecha is over there. Remember, hecha is over there. Decha is over here in general, decha. Dead is right here. But I'm going over there to Mazaskatipi. Mazaskatipi hecha bedikt. A conversation like that could happen because I've already thought about it in the morning, my plan. I may ask in conversation with this individual, Nishto, what about you? Nishto. Takto kanukta hai. What are you going to do? Hachanakinde this morning. Nishto. Takto kanukta hai. Hachanakinde. That's the thought process that I woke up with, putting a plan together what I'm going to do. I might say, ach ana kide wa echum bedikte. This morning, ach ana kide wa echum is work, employment. Ach ana kide wa echum bedikte. Shahdoga ape, 8 o'clock, sampa, samhanke. Shahdoga ape, samhanke, 8:30. Or it could be 9:30. Napchiwanka ape, samhanke, half hour after 9 o'clock. Kihan wa echamunkte, I will work. Shahadoga ape samhanke kihan wa echamunkte. At 8:30, I'm going to work. It could be any hour. Shahadoga napchiuka ukshavana kewaji vyotaha sampa. Wancha ape nupa ape yamini ape 3 yamini ape dopa ape 4 zapta ape shakpa ape 6 hehaya wa echamukta. Hehaya, that long. Hehaya wa echamukta. I'm going to be working. Like that. And I've said it before that you can't, or it's not very possible that you're going to be talking about something totally different every day as you go along. It doesn't work that way. It's not possible. The words that you use, the words, those that you use on a daily basis, it's all repetition. It's repetition every day. The morning, afternoon, evening, it's all repetition. It's what are you doing? How are you going to do? What are you going to do this afternoon? What am I going to do? I'm going to do this. That's just a repeat. Back and forth. Acknowledgement first, and then a repeat of what you've said yesterday already to somebody else maybe, or the same person. So there's only so many phrases, so many sentences that you use every day. That is why I say repetition, 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 repetition. Ake epamakikte, epamakikte, epamakikte. I keep on saying that. So that you will know it, you will use it, because now you know what I'm saying. So once you know the spoken word, then you should be able to use it. And that's what I encourage you to do on a daily basis. Ampetu iohi. Ampetu iohi. Ampetu is the day. Ampetu iohi is throughout the day. Throughout the day, every day. Ampetu iohi. Ampetu iohi. I don't have a marker, so Ampetu iohi is every day a repetition over and over again. So, kachohioya, throw it. Kachohioya. Yes, takoja. Kachohioya. Kacho is throw. Takoja was going to hand me the marker. I don't want him to come all the way this or date geukta or chinshin. Kachohioya. I will catch it. So he threw it towards me and I caught it. So, Ampetu is the day. Ampetu. Ampetu. This word you should know. I know you know it already. Ampetu is day. Iohi. Iohi. Ampetu iohi. All day, every day. I'll put every day. We cho ie. We cho ie. Speech. Hope I'm writing it properly. Speech. We cho ie. it hardly changes. Repetition. Ito hina stodiaya pkaha. Stodiaya is you know. Stodiaya pi is plural. You, all of you. Stodiaya pi kiha. Numpi ayaki hipi. Numpi is you use. You can use. Numpi ayaki hipi. Uspenic ichiapte, you're going to teach yourself. To wake up, when your brain is working, you have to teach it to think in Dakota. When you think in Dakota, you can vocalize it, you can use it, you can say it. But first of all, you have to formulate what you need to say in your mind. Use Dakota mind, Dakota tawachin. Tawachin is the thought process, what's in your mind. Dakota tawachin. Then you can voice it. So every day, the thought and the speech pattern is basically the same. You make your greeting, you're going to voice what it is that you're going to do, or you're going to voice whatever it is that you want to know. You know, you might want to know what day is today. What is today? When you ask that question to a friend, a buddy, a koda, a tahashi, you might forget what day it is. Is it a Thursday or is it a Friday, whatever. When you say that phrase, what is this day? Then the listener knows exactly what you're talking about. What is this day? That has to do with the day of the week. If you're talking about the weather, then you'll say, how is this day? So when you say these words, what is it? How is it? Then you know what the conversation is about. So that is the reason why I'm saying repetition. When you get up, you're going to think in Dakota. You might be thinking. Now there's a good word there too, ito. What is, I thought about that this morning, ito. We use that word very often, ito. Ito. A simple word, but could have varied interpretations. Ito. We use that word very often in our conversations. When you're thinking about something that you're going to do, or you're going to ask somebody to do, it's not right now. Dewana shni. It's not right now. Ito it hasn't happened yet. Ito naka I asked Takoja to throw me the marker. I told him, like, I didn't say it, but right now, throw it. Throw it. That conversation requires that he does it immediately. Like right now, right this instant, which he did. Right now. But if I said ito, he's going to pause. Ito means not right now, but he'll think about it. He might not want to throw it. He might want to bring it around. I'm just suggesting. Ito is kind of like a suggestion, or for example. Ito is like, for example, I'm suggesting to him to throw it. Ito kahuheo, or ito inajio. If I want him to stand, definitely I'll say Najwa, stand up. But if I tell him to stand up, if he wishes, you can use the word ito. There you can say ito Najwa. Then he'll sit and he'll think. He might think, why? Dokacha. Ito Najwa. Because there's a reason why I want him to stand up, which he'll think about, and he'd either do or don't. But if I say Inajwa, you hear that the tone, the different tone? Inajwa means stand up. And if I say Ito Inajwa, then he'll think, why? Oh, what's wrong, kind of a thing. So ito is a very, very useful word. Ito uwo. Uwo is come here. Ito uwo. Or I might be on the phone, or I might text him. Ito uwo. Then he'll think, I wonder why. Should I go? Should I not go? It's up to him to either do or don't. Ito uwo. When my body says that to me, ito uwo, and then I might say, Dokacha, why? Why should I come over there? So ito is kind of like a wait a minute kind of a thing. You'll think about it, Ito uwo. So very, very important word to understand. Ito oyakawo. Ito oyakawo means say something, like announce something, for example, right? Ito oyakawo. Then the person might think to himself, I wonder if I should, because ito is for the example. It's kind of like you can do this or not, it's up to you. Ito oyakawo. If I say oyakawo, then it's a command. Oyakawo, that's a command, you have to do it right now. But if I say ito oyakawo, it's up to you. Ito oyakawo. You say, nope, I'm not going to say that, kind of a thing. So, very important word. It's a suggestive word, ito. I-T-O is a suggestive word. Kind of a command, but not really for you to think about, to do or not to do, to say or not to say. And you use the word ito. Mazaska mak'ua. If I say, give me some money. Mazaska wikshemna mak'ua. Mazaska wikshemna wachindo. I want. Wachin is I want. Mazaska wikshemna wachindo mak'ua. I want $10, give it to me. That's kind of like a directive, an order, a direct one. So if I say, ito mazaska wikshemna mak'ua, then you'll think about it, do I want to give him $10 or not, So that's the context that you use the word ito. Ito is used daily. I use it daily. I never really thought about it, the context of the word ito. But usually when I hear that word, it's not a command, but something to think about, to do or to say. I hope that's clear as mud, what I'm trying to teach you here. The different word, or the example, or the meaning of the word ito. So hina iduk shampte, you're going to think about those words. Just a simple word like ito. Ito omanu yekteda. Let's, for instance, go for a journey, for a walk, or a little trip. Mani is walking. Omani is kind of like walking around, going on a journey, going for a daily walk. And that is what Omani means. Mani is walking. Omani as a daily walk, a daily travel, just going for a little travel to Brandon or wherever, Ito uwo, come here. Omani uyekteda. We're going to go for a little drive, a little walk, or whatever. Ito omani uyekteda. Ito uwo. You get the idea there? So these are daily words, which show daily words that you could use. First, let's say you understand it. What does it mean? Now that you know the meaning, then you can use it to create conversation. Uwo, come here. Wachipi, dance. Hechia, over there. Unyektera. Uwo, wachipi, hechia, unyektera. We'll go to the dance. Doesn't specifically say what kind of dance. Could be jigging, it could be powwow, anything like that, a dance. Ito uwo, wachipi, hechia, unyektera. Hechia, of course, is over there. Unyektedo, you and I, we will go. Unyektedo. If it's more than just you and I, you can say Hechia unyapi ktedo. The plural there is the P or the PI. Wachipi Hechia unyapi ktedo. Uwo. Come. We'll go to the dance. Wachipi Hechia unyapi ktedo. Wachipi Hechia unyapiktero. Omani unyapiktero. Like that. Now you're able to say those things. Hechia unkipkaha. Hechia is over there again. Hechia, dechia over here, dead, right here. Hechia, dechia, dead. Hechia unkipkaha. When we get over there, Hechia unkipi keha. Wa doank tada. I'm going to sing. Doan, sing. Wa doan, ya doan, un doan, pi. Un doan pi ktedo. Hechia unkip kaha. Wa chipi hechia unkip kaha. Wa doank tada. I'm going to sing when we get over there. Wachipi hechia unkipi keha. Wawachi ktero. I'm going to dance. Wawachi. Wachi is to dance. Wawachi is I am going to dance. Wayachi, you are going to dance. Waunchipi ktero. We are all going to dance. Uwo, come here. Wachipi hechia unyapi ktero. Hechia unkipi kiha. Wa unchiptedo. We will dance. These are words that you're going to use maybe this coming Wachipi season, powwow season, Wachipi otakte. There is going to be lots of powwows. Maybe you might use those words in there. Hiwa uwa Wachipi hechu yamptedo. Undoa piktedo. Wa unchi piktedo. Now you know how to say it. If you know your koda, your friend, is a Doan person, Wachi person, you can say these words and he will understand. For you to use for this coming powwow season, it'll be good to do that. You might have gone to a powwow already last weekend and you'll be talking to your buddy. Wachipi hechia over there, the dance over there, ya'i. You went over there, ya'i. You got over there, you arrived over there, ya'i. Wachipi hechia ya'i. To ketu hai, how was it? Wachipi hechia ya'i. To ketu hai, how was it? You might say, Washtedo, it's good. O ioki pido, it was a very cheerful. O ioki is cheerful, or it's a joyful event, joyful time. O ioki pida. Wachipi hechia yai, toketu ha. You went to the dance, how was it? Washtida, it's good. O ioki pida, it was a joyful event. Wachipi ki. That conversation, I'm pretty sure you will use that sentence this coming powwow season. You will, because a lot of us, many of us in the communities, we go to the powwow. And that will be the time to use that. So put it in your brain somewhere, practice it, put it there, and when the season is upon us, you can use it. Just as a casual conversation. Use what you understand. Use it so you don't lose it. Just build on it. And that is how you learn. You will learn by remembering and by using the spoken word. So there's many examples that you can use using that sentence or that phrase over and over again. You could be going fishing. Uwo omani unyektero. Ho kua unyektero. Ho is a shortened version of hoga. Ho is hoga. Uwo omani unyektero. Ho kua unyektero. Or you can say the full version. Uwo omani unyektero. Hoga kua unyektero. Hoga kua unyektero. Kua is to pursue, to go after. Kua. Kua is to pursue, to go after. Hoga kua unyektero. You might say, hiya. No. Hoa kua shnido. I don't fish. You might say that. Hiya. Hoa kua shnido. I don't fish. Hiya. Hoga wa kua shnido. A lot of people are not fishermen, fisher persons. But I'm using that as an example, So once you learn the phrase, you can put different events like fishing, powwow, dancing, singing, using the same phrase. Uo doan yektara, uo wachion yektara, uo hokuo yektara, and those kinds of things. Once you understand the basics of it, you can put it in your mind. You might wake up this morning and say, "Ato apeto kende." This day it'll be in your mind. Apeto kende hoku abdikte. I'm going to go fishing today. You're not specific. It's morning, afternoon, in the evening. You're not specific as to time, but you're formulating that in your mind. That day you're going to go fishing, like today. Today is nice and cool on the cold side. Kita na osni. Osni ke. Osni ke. Osni ke is, I don't know how to explain ke. A little bit. Osni ke, a little bit cold. It'll be a good time to fish. When it's cool, the fish are active. And because you'll know that if you're a fisherman, and you'll say, "Petu hokuo pe washte." A good day to go fishing. A good time to go fishing, dependent on the weather. Petu ke hokuo pe washte. Hokuo bedikte. That kind of a thought process. And you might tell that to your buddy. When you're talking to him on the phone or you meet him at the gas bar, ampetu oashte chake, or ampetu hokua pe oashte. It's a good day to go fishing. Tatean pashne, it's not windy. Wakpa, the river. Wakpa kahada. Kahada is alongside, beside, kahada. Wakpa kahada makekte. if my friend, my buddy, my tahashi, he texts me and say, Wakpaka hada makekte. I'm going to sit by the river. Wakpaka hada makekte apetuk in de. When he texts me that, then I know he's talking about fishing. How do I know? Because I know him as a fisherman. I know he likes to fish. So all he has to say is, Ampetuk in de wakpaka hada makekte. I'm going to sit by the river today. But if I didn't know him to be a fisherman, then I might think, now why is he going to be sitting by the river? What's he going to do? All these things will come to mind. But if you know your friend, your tahashi, as a fisherman, then you know what he's talking about. I might answer him, "Oh, washte." Oh, good. Dukted, where? Because I might want to go. That'll be the conversation. He'll text you, "Apetukende wakpaka hada makekte." This day I'll sit by the river. I might say, "Oh, yes." Dukted, where? Mija, me too. Mija wauktada, I'm going to come. Mija wauktada. Dukted, where? Nake ktahe. Where are you going to sit? Nake yaka make. Nake is where are you going to sit? Makekte, this is where I'm going to sit. So that could be a conversation that you can remember to save in your brain. So when the fishing season happens, then you can talk or text like that. I'm going to sit by the river. Your buddy will answer you in a couple of different ways. Ho, washteda. That's all he might say. That's good. And then I will know, because he didn't answer me, that if he's going to show up or not. Then just by him saying ho, washteda, then I know he's probably not going to show up. Otherwise, if he's going to show up, he's going to, voice it. He's going to say, "Mija wauktada, I will come too." Dukted nakektaha, where are you going to sit? Badote gheche makektada. Badote is where two rivers meet, just like down here, where the two rivers meet. Badote, it's kind of marshy area. Badote, or badote could be a curve in a river. It goes like this and comes around. All that area is Badote. Badote hecha badektaro. I'm going to go to the Badote. And then as community members, we know where he's talking about. He'll know where I'm talking about specifically. And then he might say, "Oh, Mija woktara." I'll be there too. Like that. So knowing what you're going to do that day, you formulate that in your mind. Dakota idukchunk, that you're going to think Dakota. That's in your mind. In your conversation with your friend, your buddy, then you're going to tell him that. I'm going to go to the river to fish. That kind of a conversation. And now, it's up to you, if you're a fisherman, to know those words. Wakpa, kahada, makekte. Or you could be going to the bede. Bede is the lake. You can use the same idea, same phrase, sentence. You can say, Apetu kende bede kahada makekte. The only difference there is bede and wakpa. Bede is the lake, wakpa is the river. So apetu kende bede kahada makekte. And then your friend might say, Tokia, where? I can use English word for Oak Lake if I want to. There's nothing wrong with that. You're still using the language. You can say, oh, Kenton hates you. You can say, Kenton hates you. Apetu kende bedekahada makekte. He might answer Tokia. He might say, Kenton hates you. Hates you is over there. Kenton is not Dachia. Otherwise, Kenton will be right here. Kenton hates you over there. Bedekahada makekte. And that indicates I'm going to be fishing. Or you can say, Rivers hate you. Over there in Rivers. Watopana. I think the river or the lake is called Watopana. Hate you to Rivers, the lake. Watopana. Yeah. The lake, the reservoir, there's a dam there, Natakapi. A dam is Wakpa, Natakapi. The Nataka is the dam, but created a lake. Rivers hate you. Rivers hate you. The lake is called Watopana. Lake Watopana. I think one older gentleman, Pampana, the family, Teoshpa, they used to live in Rivers. Pampana. But we say in Washichukana, we say Pampana. There's no Pampana. It's Pampana. Iha, Pampana, you shout. Pampana, you shout. John, we just say today, Pampana. There's no such word. It's Pampana. Now you get the feeling, the meaning, right? Yeah, now I know what that means. You yell, war cry, Pampana. Hey. That's what the word means, not Pampana. Just like Pompeii, the volcano. No. It's to yell, lie in enjoyment, Pampana, Yeah. So that's what their last name is about. Pampana, it's Pampana. And an older gentleman apparently named that lake Watopana. It comes from the Pampana Tiwahe, Tioshpe, the elder of that family, Pampana. So those are the kinds of words that you may use coming into spring, into summer. Ohio, what you yaptera? Ohio, don't aptera, won't you aptera? Ohio, but the kahada yankaptera, ho unkoptera, ho unkoptera. The dacia wakpaka had yankaptera, ho unkoptera. Like that. When you know and understand these, please use them. I'm going to go to work today. How? Dayan yawo. Go in a good way. Dayan yawo. Like that. Some of these words I know you know already. I know you know that. The thing to do now is to make a conscious effort to use it. That's all you gotta do now, is to use it. The first thing that should come to your mind when you're waking up, everything is about the weather, right? First thing that may come to your mind when you're waking up, you open your eyes, I wonder how the weather is today. Day this. Day is this. How is it? Oh, tatempa. Nawach. Oh, it's windy. I can hear it. Tatempa apetukinde. Or you might wake up kind of hot and not. Oh, apetukinde kate. Apetukinde kate. Apetukinde unzore ptechera weichunkte. De kate. What did I just say? What is unzore? What is unzore? Pants. De kate, ampetu ki kate. Unzore Ptecheda, wechunkt. Ptecheda is short. Ptecheda. What is that? Ozoge ptecheda. Shorts. You're going to wear shorts because it's hot today. I can feel it already. Ozoge ptecheda wechunkt. You might want to just wear a kind of like a short sleeve shirt or something like that. Maybe a vest. Aokihana is a vest type, a muscle shirt. I don't have no muscles, so I can't call it a muscle shirt, but aokihana, just like a vest. Aokihana, cut off, here, Aokihana munkte zogep that you wechunkt. I'm going to wear my short sleeve shirt and my shorts. Hot, because it's hot. Like that. These are words that you could use now. I believe so. It's just that you don't want to use it. It's just that you don't want to say it. I know you can say it because you've been practicing, right? You've been listening because I've been repeating it over and over. Long time ago, when the tiwahes, the home, there's a mother, there's a grandma, there could be an aunt, an older sister, whomever, in the household. And these words, these phrases will be good for the young mothers today, because that's where the child learns. Hokshiopa, little baby, hokshiopa, hokshiopa. Hokshiopa is a little baby in the arms, Hokshiopa. Hokshiopa. It's a baby in the arms kind of a thing. I'll just put arms here. Hokshiopa. When they're babies, the mother, the kunshi, the aunts, the ladies of the house, their responsibility is to teach the hokshiopa, growing up, the language. They hear the hokshiopa, they hear the language every day. And you teach them how to be respectful, how to be helpful, okay? And you teach them while they're young, when they're growing up. That's how it used to be. That's how I learned. When I was growing up, I remember I didn't know lots of words. I don't know what they're talking about, until I got a little bit older, until they keep on using repetitive that language. When they say a word and there's an action that happens, right? Oh, okay, now I kind of understand what that word is. I remember thinking like that as maybe a 4 or 5-year-old, 6-year-old, some words I didn't understand. But by the spoken word and the action following, then I kind of know what is being said. So in the back days like that, it's the mothers, the grandmas, the aunties that teach the children, the hokshiopa, wakanje, how to act properly with respect and these kinds of things. So they might teach them, iotaka, and the child, iotaka means set up now. Kikta, wake up now, become conscious, kikta. Iotaka, inaji. Ihidujaja, wana ihidujaja, wash. Ihidui, you dress up. You, come, you. Dediotaka, come sit here. Takachkata, go play outside. Timahid, go, come back inside. Timahid is inside the house. Tipi, my head. Tipi, my head. Ti, my head. Ku, come. You iataka, come sit down. You wota, wota. Like those commands. Anahupta, if they're unruly, you might say, onjiaka, sit still. If they're becoming unruly, noisy, playing around in the house, and if it's a bit chaka outside, you might say, takachkata, takachkata pi, but you shorten it, takachkatab, shorten it. Takachkata, because they're playing around inside, running around. These words, these small commands that are taught to the young people, they know how to be respectful, how to take commands, and to for them to act on it. Iotaka, they'll come and sit down. Inaje, they'll stand up. Takachkata, they'll go outside, play. Timahitku, come inside. Wotawana, eat. Hidu jaja, nape. Nape is hand. Nape your jaja. Nape your jaja. Ite, face. Ite your jaja. Hedakcha, comb your hair. Hedakcha. These are commands given to the little ones as they're growing up. But of course today, our young mothers and fathers, they don't speak the language. So they don't know how to teach them the commands. That is why I'm saying that. Listen to these words. The mother today, if they see this video, they can tell their child now, wash your face. Ite jaja. One na. Now. Not hakana, not tomorrow. Now. Wana ite jaja. Wash your face now. Wana ihidui. Dress up now. If they can't, you might say, Hiu, ochichiye kteye. Ochichiye is I will help you. Ochichiye kte. Kte, remember kte is not now, but if you come here, I will help you. Kte, I will help you. Ochichiye kteye. Come here, ochichi kteye. Hiu, ochichi kteye. Ihidui, hadakcha. Napehidu jaja, itehidu jaja. Ihidui, takashkata, timahitku, yotaka, na, wota. Oas tebya, eat all of it, eat your vegetables. Watohna tebya, eat it up. You might say, what chinchni do? I don't want it. Hiya yuta, like that. So now, as young mothers, I've just showed you how to say it. Now it's up to you to use it for the child to learn. Ihiduiyaya, get yourself ready. Wayawa dekteye, you're going to go to school. Wayawa is to read or count. Wayawa. Wayawa tipi is the school. Tipi. Wayawa tipi. Dekte, you're going to go to school. Wayawa dekte, ihiduiyaya, you're going to go to school. Get yourself ready. Ihiduiyaya. Get yourself ready. Not tomorrow, like right now. Ihidu. We ya. Get yourself ready. And that's a command. Remember I said not tomorrow, right now. Dewa not de, right now, right this second. And children, they have to learn that. When mama or Kunshi talks, they better listen. And that's how we grew up. The Kunshi is the matriarch of the household, Tioshpai, the Kunshi. If it's not the Kunshi, then it's the mom, the mother, Ina. Dad is usually sitting over there listening, or he's outside and mowing the lawn or something like this. Waicho is working. He's not there. Dad is hardly there. So it's the woman that is the teacher and the protector of the household for the children. It's the woman's role. The role of the woman is to do that, to teach, to nurture the children, to grow up, to be able to listen, to be able to do, to be respectful, to be caring, and these kinds of things. And the children, they learn that. The young girls, they continue that with the family matriarchs. They learn. The boys will learn along with them as long as they learn the commands, how to be helpful and all these kinds of things. And when they're about 12, 13, 14 years old, then they get kicked out to the man's side. They go on the man's side. But because they already know the commands, they already know that they're going to listen, that they're going to be helpful and be respectful and these kinds of things. They've already learned that from them, from the inas, from the moms, from the kunshis, from the grandmas. They've learned that already, to be able to listen and to do. So now they get kicked out, the boys get kicked out on the man's side. Now they learn to do man things. For today, they could be encouraged to work, or they could clean up the yard, or things like that. Back in the days, how to hunt. Wihinipe. Wihini is to hunt. Hokuape, how to fish. How to provide for the family. That was their role. How to protect the family. If there's a threat, and they have to protect the family. That's their role. And that's the difficulty that the men or the boys have today, because that role that they used to play as a protector, sometimes they can't do that now. If there's an immediate threat, maybe they can, but usually we'll have to phone the RCMP and we'll have to sit there for 26 minutes all day. On their way somewhere, and you sit there while all this is going on, and you sit there. Because if you get involved, you can be charged. So, hey, somebody's getting beat up over there, but we're not going to do anything, and I'll just sit here for 26 minutes while this is going on here. But in the back days, you'll get up and you'll protect. But you can't do that now. So the role of men is kind of, changed. I would say changed quite a bit. But you can teach them about other man things, how to be a provider, how to work, encourage them to get an education maybe, or learn a trade and all that all the man stuff that are out there. You spend more time outside now. So that is how Hokshiya Pawakanja are taught back in the day, and we should get back into that. Now that I've shown you how to say these things, hiduwi napeyaji teyaji takashkata tematku. Yotaka wota dewana wota wawa dikte. These words, now as the mother, you know these words now and the meaning. Now it's up to you to use it. So the Wakanja will learn how to listen, how to take command, how to be respectful. Hey Chushni, don't do that. Hey Chushni. Like that. They know, growing up, they know that. So by the time they're teenagers, then they'll listen. When Kunshi says something or Ina says something, they listen. Because they've grown up like that. They're not rebellious or whatever, so. I thought I'll mention those things. I'll mention them again sometime in the future, just to test you. What does this mean? What does this mean? And I'll leave a pause, see if you remember. I'm sure you will remember. So those few words of commands These kinds of things for the mothers, the young mothers and fathers. Learn those and use them so that the next generation will benefit from it. So we took our Shanaksak today. We'll leave it there for a few minutes, 10, 15 minutes or so, and then we'll continue again. Ichitu.
mitake api hai toke. Adetched wahibdokega. Wahibdutake. I came here and I sat. I'm going to talk. Takushisni ito iwo dakikte. No, I'm just going to, say as it comes along. Like a lot of it, will be in Dakota, but we have that. We always translate, what we're trying to put across to people, that are on YouTube. So, just thinking back, when Ichi here was talking, about some of the words, how it's said, how it's pronounced, those are very important, and the only way we will understand and be able to say them is, what he said, repetitive, keep saying over and over, with the words that we have learned. And then, and that will create in your mind how to think in Dakota, as he says, with me and, with some of the Dakota speaking, people, it's there for us because we were born with the language. So, sometimes, that's how we think. We think in Dakota. A lot of times, like we kind of think ahead. I told they stock to kamukta. Do kitki to a hebredicta. I'm gonna go someplace, but not really knowing where. But that thinking in Dakota is there. Do kitki to a hebredicta. I'm gonna travel someplace. So like that, like we have to train. Once you know some of the words, we train our minds, to start thinking in that way. Because sometimes, like my dreams are in Dakota. When I dream of something, if people happen to be there, like I am talking Dakota, to whoever is in my dream. So, we need to, keep learning, make those words, stick in your mind, don't shake them out, just keep them in there and use them. Anytime during the day you think of a Dakota word, say it. Say it out loud. If you happen to think of the word, maybe Iapi, if you thought of that word, so just say Iapi. Iapi, say it a few times, And then another time you might, a word like Hokshida might come up. Hokshida. Like that. Don't keep it to yourself, let it come out. Let it come out. That way, you'll have that pronunciation also, because our pronunciation is very important. Because if you do, in some words, if you do a slight change, it can mean something else. So this is something we have to be careful of also. So it is, our language is kind of, it's not hard, it's just like any other language. I don't know if other tribes, do how we do things, but sometimes our words are a little bit difficult because we use our throat, we use our tongue, and at the top of our mouth to say a lot of our words. And when we speak in English, we don't use those muscles in our mouth. It's just, the English language, and the English language just flows. So we have to do that with the Dakota language. We have to let it flow. It takes time, but practice makes perfect, as they say. Just keep saying it, keep repeating. It doesn't matter. If somebody says to you, how come you keep saying that word? And I say, well, I'm practicing. Just keep at it. In time, we will be able to, hopefully, the people here in Wipazakawakpa will be talking in Dakota to each other. That'll be, something awesome to see when that happens. Now we have, language bowls that are happening all over the place, and that's good. Our young ones are catching on, and, it makes them think. And I'm quite sure they must think in Dakota to come up with these words. They will say an English word and they have to quickly translate that. So, their minds are moving. And that's a time, to teach them because they're going to pick it up much faster. And, they enjoy doing that, going to language bowls. And some of our adults, too, are beginning to put themselves into those situations, too. And that's good to see. I'm very happy that these language bowls are happening because that's another way of promoting the language. So whatever way you can, we're on YouTube. Language Bowl can be on YouTube. Or sometimes, anything that's on YouTube, take the time to listen because we have other communities, in the States that offer the language also. It may be a slight difference, but, it means the same thing. They may say words that are slightly different from ours, but we know how to say our way. And we understand each other. That's the important part, as long as we understand with each other. So, and then we have the, some people say the 7 values, the 7 sacred rights, whatever, Those, or 7 teachings, those teachings were always there. Always. And, and our people lived it. Like what Icheshi had said, the mothers, aunts, the kunshis teaching the child, those are the teachings of our Dakota. And then now we have it, written down with pictures on it, respect and love and humility and honesty. Wherever we go, we see things like that. But a lot of times, people don't really understand what the whole meaning is. In order to have, those, you have to understand it and you have to practice it. And not only that, you have to live it. Live those teachings. So we have a lot of sometimes gossip going around or a lot of fighting amongst each other, especially, within family groups. It's because, those teachings weren't there as they were growing up. The respect wasn't there. But that's how, Dakota people were. They were quiet, humble people. My grandparents, were very humble. They did things, quietly. They never yelled at anybody because that's just how they had nothing to yell about because, people did things, that was right. They went hunting, fishing. Women stayed home and looked after the children, cooked, made wasna, whatever that needed to be looked after. And therefore, the children growing up, they've seen these with their mothers, their aunties, grandmothers, the kushis. They were never yelled at. Never. They didn't hear no yelling in the villages or in the communities that they were living in. It was all, good. People talked nicely to each other and did things in a good way, helping each other, sharing with each other. If a person, was not well, they attended to that person in a good way. If a person didn't have, low on food or anything, they went and they helped and gave that family what they had, what they can share. So children grew up, hearing that and seeing that. So they led a lifestyle that was, very humbling. And going back to my grandparents, that's how they were. A lot of people went there, because he always had very huge gardens. People knew that. So people, will go, if they were low on food, potatoes or anything that they needed, he will generously give it to them. He never said, well, you have to pay me back or you have to, give me money or whatever. No, nothing like that happened. Some people will bring something, to trade. Dakota people were very good with that. They traded, to, if they wanted something, they will make a good trade. So, people were helping each other all the time, and it wasn't until colonization maybe that things started to change and, people, walked a different path, I guess, after, and they saw drinking and what drinking does, it brings fighting and not looking after the family. Not, they couldn't provide. And, sometimes we can't blame them because everything was taken. They were put on just little pieces of land that they had to get permission to step out of that area, that boundary, to go and do their hunting or fishing, even, to pick berries or medicines. because the Indian agent was there, and he was very strict with everything. He made sure that it seems that they have to be confined all the time. And of course, the people got frustrated. They couldn't do anything, so they did things that they shouldn't be doing, but, we can't blame them. It was a very hard life that our people had to go through. And that happened right into, I think, maybe the 50s, early 60s, when they finally got rid of the Indian agents. Like even my dad was a farmer. Other farmers will be selling their grain, but our own farmers here in Wipazokawakpa, they couldn't do it because the Indian agent didn't give them that permission, to do that. So, which was very, very unfair. And they had good crops. I think maybe they didn't want the Dakota people to succeed. I don't know. But it was very frustrating for the farmers here in Sioux Valley. And now I don't think nobody farms because we don't have the space for the farmers. We have a lot of people living here in Wipazokawakpa, and it's being used up to make homes for people. So we have no more farmland. We do have pastures, to keep, some people have horses. We have our tatanka. We have our pastures. But that's about it. We don't see any more farmers, and that's sad. That's something, that should have been kept up with. That will help the community, to depend on that, and they can go a long ways and be good farmers, to give back to the community on what, was planted into the ground. We actually, and our farmlands at one time were leased out to Washitu farmers, and they sprayed the land with, I don't know what it's called, but, it wasn't good for the animals. So we put a stop to it, and now, they don't come onto our lands because they don't lease anymore. So what we wanted to do was, to stop that spraying because it's not good. When the cows or the horses eat it, they get sick. Even, the wildlife are getting sick from it. The deer and elk, even, the rabbits, little animals like muskrats, they eat, whatever's on the ground, and they're starting to get sick. So it was, just difficult times, it seems, that we have just ongoing. But we here we are, we're resilient. We keep going. We want to do what's best for our community, especially our children. They're the ones that are going to walk ahead one of these days, when I'm gone, when the older elders, people are gone, we are going to depend on our children. That's why, it's so important that they start learning. And I'm glad, it's being done in the schools. teaching the language. And from that language, they will learn humbleness. They will learn how to give, to share, and these 7 teachings that I had talked about, just a while ago. Those are very important. When you know language, you would automatically know the 7 teachings of this very important language. So we have to walk. Those 2 go hand in hand. So, that's what makes a Dakota person. We have to be strong. We can't stand alone. We have to help each other as much as we can. We can't say, oh, I did this, I did that. No, we don't do that. We all did it together. We all helped each other to make this community a better place and a stronger place. So as our children, will lead by example, and they tukatakia in the future, they will know what to do, and it will carry on. Their children will carry it on. Their grandchildren will carry that on. And it goes on and on and on. But it has to go on in a good way. We don't want any bad barriers to come in between. And this is what we're trying to prevent by sitting here and by talking about it. We have to, leave it open, so as it will spread, the good things will spread out, and reach every Dakota person, that this is our way of life. We need to discipline ourselves in that way, to take it in a good way, and to be humble. We can't blame anybody for what is happening. We're all to blame if that's what you want. But we can't just blame one person. We have to blame. It's not that we have to blame, but it's everybody's responsibility to make things good again, to make it better. Again, referring back to our children, they are the ones, that are going to lead that, by good examples. We don't want them to, witness any bad things that are happening. We have quite a few, things that are happening in the community, but it's up to us as the Iapi to do something about it and make it go away. Start voicing it, whatever, the drinking, the fighting, the violence, family violence, it's really, you can see it all the time. You can see it in the children. When they come home from school, that's what they talk about, that kids are fighting at the school. Okay, where did that child learn how to fight? They seen it at home. They seen it out in a community someplace. So of course they're going to do that. Or, sometimes they say, oh, my friend was drinking on the weekend. Okay, where did that, that little friend, where did he go and how did he learn? How did he get a hold of something, to put it into his body? Our children, they are supposed to be pure, not to, put anything bad into themselves. But it seems to be starting when younger and younger kids are smoking, they're drinking. But, they do that because they see it happening and they think it's okay. But no, it isn't okay. They're damaging their body. it's going to do something to them, and we don't want that to happen. We have to look after our children, and that's why, I'm glad that, the language is being taught, and that comes, with the teachings, so as they can carry it forward and be our good leaders to Katakia, to stand up for us. So, my friends, my relatives, you're sitting out there listening, thinking it must be happening in every community. We all need to start doing something in a good way. Talk to the children. With myself, I try and talk, to children about the bad things. I always talk about love and respect to them. You have to love yourself, because a lot of them don't know what love is. They think just liking another person is love. No, it isn't. You have to love yourself. Love who you are. Love yourself as a human being. And when you start doing that, you'll see love, differently. They won't be going after other ones their age, thinking it's love. That'll open their eyes. And the same with respect too. You have to look after yourself, respect your body, your mind, your heart, what you say. Those are very important. That's why sometimes you see a lot of kids, cutting themselves or doing something because they weren't taught to love themselves and to have respect for their body. And those are the two that I always bring out to children, because they need to know these things. Sometimes, it hurts for them to hear it, but you know what? That's the truth. They haven't heard it or weren't spoken to them, so maybe they might get mixed emotions about it, but you have to be honest with them. If you want children to be honest, well, you have to be honest with them too. So everything that we do, we present it to them in a good way, well, you'll get that back in a good way. So it's hard at times, to do these things, to talk about it especially. A lot of people are still very critical or very judgmental. That's okay. We learn through, those things through colonization. But in time, and I always pray that, things will come back into place again. We will never be the same Dakota people that was a long time ago, but we can change our ways in a better way, in the most humbling way that we can do. So, my friends and relatives, this is something that you can think about and, do approach things in that way. Tēnā he te mitake api o as.